Hello and welcome to today's Bible study of 1 Kings, and we are in chapter 20. Now I realised yesterday that there are only 2 more chapters. And then we are done with another book. Wow, time flies. Well yeah, if I'm doing a chapter a day that makes sense that it's about 3 weeks. But still, let's come around quickly. So let's get started in chapter 20. Where did we leave off? We left off at chapter 19. I loved that chapter, so good. So Elijah was going through a bit of a mental and spiritual breakdown, as we all do, and God lifted him up. He gave him time and patience and brought him to a place where he was ready to take on the next mission. And his next mission is there were going to be 2 new kings that could be put on the throne and a successor for Elijah. So let's see what goes down. And Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, gathered all his host together, and there were 32 kings with him, and horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Samaria and warred against it. And he sent messengers to Ahab, king of Israel, into the city, and said unto him, Thus saying Ben-Hadad, Thy silver and thy gold is mine, thy wives also and thy children, even the goodliest are mine. And the king of Israel answered and said, My lord, O king, according to thy saying, I am thine, and all that I have. And the messengers came again and said, Thus speaketh Ben-Hadad, saying, Although I have sent unto thee, saying, Thou shalt deliver me thy silver and thy gold and thy wives and thy children, yet I will send my servants unto thee tomorrow about this time, and they shall search thine house and the houses of thine servants, and it shall be that whatsoever is pleasant in thine eyes, they shall put in their hand and take it away. Ooh. And we're moving forward with God's plan to wipe out the worship of the false god Baal. So we've got Ben-Hadad, who is king of Aram. He's barged in now with an army and has besieged Samaria, which was Ahab's capital, and he went in all guns blazing, making harsh demands. Okay, so Ben-Hadad stormed into Ahab's capital, making demands, and Ahab was really outnumbered, so he agreed. He was like, okay, well, I guess, you know, I'm yours and everything I have is yours. Gave in quite quickly. But unfortunately, because he gave up so willingly, then Ben-Hadad made more demands and said, alright, great, so my servants are allowed to storm your palace and your servants' houses and take what they want. Then the king of Israel called all the elders of the land and said, Mark, I pray you, and see how this man seeketh mischief. For he sent unto me for my wives, and for my children, and for my silver, and for my gold, and I denied him not. And all the elders and all the people said unto him, Hearken not unto him, nor consent. A bit like that. Wherefore he said unto the messengers of Ben-Hadad, Tell my lord the king, all that thou didst send forward to thy servant at the first I will do, but this thing I may not do. And the messengers departed and brought him word again. And Ben-Hadad said unto him, and said, The gods do so unto me, and more also, if the dust of Samaria shall suffice for handfuls for all the people that follow me. And the king of Israel answered and said, Tell him, let not him that girdeth on his harness boast himself as he that putteth it off. And it came to pass, when Ben-Hadad had heard this message, as he was drinking, he and the kings in the pavilions said that he said unto his servants, Set yourselves in array. And they set themselves in array against the city. And behold, there came a prophet unto Ahab, king of Israel, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Hast thou seen all these great multitude? Behold, I will deliver it into thine hand this day, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. So Ben-Hadad's second demand here of storm the palace, take what I want kind of thing, that was too much. So at this point Ahab got his advisors, all his elders together, and they resisted along with the people, and they said, no, do not comply. So the elders and people then refused to comply. And then the prophet came with word saying that Ahab was going to be victorious. That said, Ahab would be victorious, not because he deserved it, but to show the Lord is God. There we go. Will he learn? That's the question. Do they ever? I don't know. And Ahab said, by whom? And he said, thus saith the Lord, even by the young men of the princes of the provinces. Then he said, who shall order the battle? And he answered, thou. Then he numbered the young men of the princes of the provinces, and they were 232. And after them he numbered all the people, even all the children of Israel, being 7,000 years. And they went out at noon. But Ben-Hadad was drinking himself drunk in the pavilions, and the kings and the 32 kings that helped him. That happens quite a few times. Quite a few times when a king has been overthrown, he's been drunk. That I've noticed a theme with that. They're vulnerable, right? So I put there that they're often drunk when they're conquered because they're vulnerable and a little bit cocky. Like, why are you getting drunk in a time of war? You're too confident. And the young men of the princes of the provinces went out first, and Ben-Hadad sent out, and they told him, saying, there are men come out of Samaria. And he said, whether they be come out for peace, take them alive, or whether they be come out for war, take them alive. So these young men of the princes of the provinces came out of the city and the army which followed them, and they slew everyone his man, and the Syrians fled. And Israel pursued them, and Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, escaped on a horse with the horsemen. And the king of Israel went out and smote the horses and chariots, and slew the Syrians with great slaughter. Yikes. So obviously Israel had a great success. So Israel had a great victory, then barely managed to escape. And that's all glory to God. And the prophet came to the king of Israel and said unto him, go strengthen thyself, and mark and see what thou doest, for at the return of the year the king of Syria will come up against thee. So there's going to be a round 2. So get prepared. Be prepared for round 2. And the servants of King Syria said unto him, their gods are gods of the hills, therefore they were stronger than we, but let us fight against them in the plain. Surely we will be stronger than they. And do this thing, take the kings away, every man out of his place, and put captains in their rooms, and number thee an army, like the army that thou hast lost, horse for horse, chariot for chariot, and we will fight against them in the plain, and surely we will be stronger than they. And he hearkened unto their voice, and he did so. So what I didn't really like here is that the elders were telling Ben that their gods, the gods of the hills, so they're more powerful. Like, what? Look, they were stronger than we. Their gods are gods of the hills, therefore they were stronger than we. So that was poor advice from the elders. And they said because they're gods of the hills, they've planned their next battle on the plain, where they allegedly would have more advantage. And he listened to them. So they're putting their false gods up on a pedestal again. They're afraid of their false gods. God literally proved himself to be the true God, and they are still afraid of their false gods. For me, that shows how kind of behavior is actually ingrained in societies and people, that even though you can see proof of something, the brainwashing goes deep, and it can take a long time. Even though you see evidence, it can take a while for people's minds to catch up to what they know to be true. Oh, glory to God. Thank you. Okay. And it came to pass at the return of the year that Ben-Hadad numbered the Syrians and went up to Aphek to fight against Israel. And the children of Israel were numbered and were all present. and went against them. And the children of Israel pitched before them 2 little flocks of kids, but the Syrians filled the country. And there came a man of God, and spake unto the king of Israel, and said, Thus saith the Lord, because the Syrians have said, The Lord is the God of the hills, but he is not God of the valleys. Therefore I will deliver all this great multitude into thine hand, and ye shall know that I am God. So prophet's back, and he said, You're going to have another victory, Ahab, and it's going to be even more spectacular than the last. And he's saying, you're going to win, and you're going to know that I'm God. So we have to remember the glory goes to the Most High. And they pitched one over against the other 7 days. And so it was that in the 7th day of the battle was joined, and the children of Israel slew the Syrians 100,000 footmen in 1 day. But the rest fled to Aphek into the city, and there a wall fell upon 27,000 of the men that were left. And Ben-Hadad fled and came into the city, into an inner chamber. And his servant said unto him, Behold, now we have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. Let us, I pray thee, put sackcloth on our loins and ropes upon our heads, and go out to the king of Israel, peradventure, and he will save thy life. So they girded sackcloth on their loins, and put ropes on their heads, and came to the king of Israel, and said, Thy servant Ben-Hadad saith, I pray thee, let me live. And he said, Is he yet alive? He is my brother. Now the men did diligently observe whether anything would come from him, and he did hastily catch it. And they said, Thy brother Ben-Hadad. Then he said, Go ye, bring him. Then Ben-Hadad came forth to him, and he caused him to come up into the chariot. And Ben-Hadad said unto him, The cities which my father took from thy father I will restore, and thou shalt make streets for thee in Damascus, as my father made in Samaria. Then said Ahab, I will send thee away with this covenant. So he made a covenant with him, and sent him away. So we've got here that, Ahab is promised to win by God's prophet, and Ben-Hadad's servants advised that they would surrender to Israel and they would throw themselves at Ahab's mercy. So they said, Israel are merciful kings. So they all surrendered and they made a treaty. So the whole point of this was God gave Ahab the enemy so that Ahab might defeat him and turn worship to God. But what Ahab has done is he's made friends with his enemy and forgot about God. Interesting, isn't it? So on one hand you think, well, if someone's surrendering to you, then you would show mercy. But in this case, he's doing something. He's trying to eradicate the worship of Baal. And Ben is his enemy, and he was meant to eradicate him so that could cleanse Israel, basically. And he didn't. He joined forces with him. Okay. And a certain man of the sons of the prophets said unto his neighbour in the word of the Lord, Smite me, I pray thee. And the man refused to smite him. Then he said unto him, Because thou hast not obeyed the voice of the Lord, as soon as thou art departed from me, a lion shall slay thee. Oh, and as soon as he was departed from him, a lion found him and slew him. So we've got a certain man of the sons of the prophets. So one of the prophets went to the other prophet and said to strike him, but he refused, so he was killed by a lion. Oh gosh, as a means of judgment. The point is, it was God's commandment. That's the point. We might not understand why God wants us to do things, but his word is to be obeyed, and the consequences are severe. That's so interesting. Ooh. Yeah. And he found another man and said, Smite me, I pray thee. And the man smote him, and in that smiting he wounded him. So the prophet departed and waited for the king by the way, and disguised himself with ashes upon his face. And as the king passed by, he cried unto the king and said, Thy servant went out into the midst of the battle, and behold, a man turned aside and brought a man unto me, and said, Keep this man. If by any means he be missing, then thy life shall be for his life, or else thou shalt pay a talent of silver. And as thy servant was busy here and there, he was gone. And the king of Israel said unto him, So shall thy judgment be, thyself hast decided it. And he hasted and took the ashes away from his face, and the king of Israel discerned from him that he was of the prophets. And he said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, because thou hast let go of thy hand a man whom I appointed to utter destruction, therefore thy life shall go for his life, and thy people for his people. And the king of Israel went to his house heavy and displeased, and came to Samaria. Oh, so after we've got prophet number 1 refusing to hit him, prophet number 2 was quick to obey. This prophet did what he was meant to do, and the wound that he received allowed him to disguise himself with a bandage. Is it a bandage? This one says ashes on his face. Anyway, he was able to disguise himself with something because of the wound. And so he approached King Ahab, told him a story similar to the story that Nathan told King David after he had sinned in 2 Samuel. And it was a way of entrapping him. With the lamb story about the rich man taking the poor man's lamb. And then David recognised what his sin was. So the prophet made Ahab recognise his sin by releasing Ben-Hadad when he was supposed to kill him. And so because he had failed to carry out the Lord's will, he and Israel would suffer. And that's not like a punishment in the sense that, okay, you didn't do what I want, so I'm going to pout now and tell you off and put you in the naughty corner. It's not. It's you were meant to kill this king, and because you haven't, you're now going to have trouble, because that's the way the world works. You were meant to clear the way, but you've chosen not to, so you're going to suffer the consequences. But he, instead of repenting, he stormed off pouting, heavy and displeased. So he had a little pity party instead of doing what was right. Wow, there you go. Another great book with lots of great takeaways. So yeah, remember, King Ahab is meant to be the worst king ever. And God still blessed him with 2 victories. The first victory was to teach Ahab that he was the one true God, and the second one was to show the enemy that Yahuwah is not the same as these fake gods, and he is strong and powerful. So our blessings are not necessarily because we deserve them. Ooh, let's write that down. So they're not always because we deserve them, but to glorify God. God uses them for his glory too. So yes, Ahab made a treaty with the enemy instead of killing him like he was supposed to, which is exactly what King Saul did with the Amalekites in 1 Samuel. And they both lost their kingdoms because of their disobedience. And despite all the evidence that God had given them that he is the one true God, Ahab was still hardening his heart just like Saul, and he was spiritually blind to the prophet and what he was on about, but he refused to turn to the Lord. So history literally just continues to repeat itself. So many great gems. I'm really loving this book. It's so good. So many really, really amazing takeaways. So we have 2 more books after this, 21 and 22. Oh, and 22 is meaty. Look at that one. Exciting. Okay, so yeah, as always, please do leave any thoughts and comments that you have in the section below, and I will add them. I have a few white spaces I can fill them in. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I will speak to you tomorrow for chapter 21. Have a lovely day. Bye.